Attention, everybody. The views and wait. Attention, everybody. The views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, and/or its affiliate and subordinate ministries and nonprofits. Some of this content may be adult in nature, so please use discretion as you're watching with your children.
Good morning.
Good morning. Coming to you live from Acts Media Group headquarters here in the middle of Springfield, Missouri. It's the Morning Drive. Matt and Jay with your hosts, Matt and Jay. It's a beautiful day. What do you say? Hey. It is Thursday. Shaded blood for me. Today we're going to talk about dealing with angry people, a subject of which I am thoroughly versed.
Yes.
Not because
I'm an
you.
angry people.
Not necessarily because of you.
But that you get plenty of practice.
I do get plenty of practice here and at work.
I'm not an angry person, but I can be.
No, I'm just gonna say exactly what Dawn said. Jay is hyper focused. Hyper focused. I like how she said that was a gentle way of saying it, because Jay gets hyper focused about stuff, doesn't he? Yes, he does.
What she really means is obsessive.
Yeah, and like you get on but see, and we all interrupt each other.
But she said it in a kind way.
Yes, we all interrupt each other, and especially whenever everybody's like really passionate about whatever it is we're talking about.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then people talk over, and you always make sure you get your point out before you stop talking, regardless if there's a pause, and then someone starts talking, you're like and then it's like, people like, hey,
yeah.
But that's only whenever you're angry about something.
Yeah, we're passionate about it.
Yes. So angry people, and I deal with a lot of angry people.
I was an angry people yesterday.
I work in the trucking industry.
Ah.
So I deal with angry people all the time.
You deal with people who have been stewing for 10 hours about what they're angry about, too. Yeah. So they're well prepared to articulate it.
They probably had the conversation out loud with themselves like 20 times.
Yeah. And their passion has risen up to an unrealistic or an unrealistic level, or
an unrealistic level,
inappropriate,
irrational
level. Yes, that's the right word.
Because they found themselves, they were talking and they were getting mad about something that hasn't even happened yet.
Right. Yeah. And I do that.
And, we have to pull ourselves back.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we have to pull each other back and be like, Jay, it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
We'll see if it even happens.
Isn't it amazing how people can help each other so easily by being so different from each other?
Well, I think like Jim's always talking about balance.
Yeah.
And what we do, there has to be a balance between our spiritual, I don't even like saying religious, our talk on scripture.
Personality traits.
Yeah. Personality traits. That saying, opposites attract?
I don't know that that's true, because there's different kinds of opposite. There's opposite principles.
Yeah.
And those don't, they attract maybe because their passions and they get to sharpen themselves against the other. But, like for instance, I'm always serious. I would be always serious, but you're always playful and what's the word? You're always you're not, you don't run on a serious all the time. You don't take yourself too serious or anybody else. I take everything seriously. So you
I deal with anger.
But you will even joke when it's inappropriate without even knowing.
It's a defense mechanism.
It is. But together, because I'm serious all the time, I get wore down and then abandon my serious and start to joke around, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And ease up. So I don't take myself as serious because I am around you. And then there's times I think when you would be inappropriate with your humor, your sense of humor, that I think because I'm serious all the time, it probably gives you some discretion about when to be serious.
Yeah, yeah. So Larry Melton's right out of the gate. My opinions don't matter. Then he says, I'm mad as heck and ain't taking it anymore. And he says, I'm going to take down the Pope deck. I'm going to take the Pope deck down today. That's what he calls the deal at our
right, yeah.
Northwest. That he says, anyone can help me.
How late are you going to be there?
And then Steve says, hi, guys, I'm trying to watch, but my 3 gigs of high speed is gone. I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have went with that plan, especially knowing how much he watches. You got to think of these things.
You had an article, didn't you? And I haven't liked or shared this.
I have. I beat you to the punch.
You beat me
bro.
to it today.
Bro.
Yeah.
So the article I have is out of Psychology Today. 5 ways to deal with angry people. Stay calm, stay safe, and don't make it worse. So that's the title of the article.
I had one, too, that was interesting.
Did you?
Yeah, it was interesting in its titling. Yeah, I did have one.
I'm sorry.
But I didn't land on it. I think that whatever we do, we do. Yeah, because the one I had that I thought was interesting, I lost it.
A long time ago. We both did.
Yeah.
I downloaded this meme the other day. Where is it? Mm-hmm.
All right. So the one I came up with is from Mind Tools. 1, types of anger. So I thought those were interesting kind of segues, though I didn't land on that. I just had found it. 2 was stay safe and involve others. 3, don't respond with anger, which is what kind of spawned this. Both my angry reaction yesterday, that was what we said before was what was the word you used?
Irrational.
My irrational anger yesterday, and taking it out on somebody. So distance yourself emotionally, identify the cause, pursue a solution, and ideally apologize, distract them, help them control their anger. So those are that's what I had found, and that's as far as I had gone with it. So I'm going to get your article up.
Dr. Ryan Martin, PhD. He wrote this article. This is something that he published in this, and he said that most of his work looks at how we can understand and manage our own experiences with anger. However, there is another side to this. Since we all have to talk to or work with angry people all the time, those interactions can be challenging. So here are 5 ways to deal with angry people. Said first, though, people experience and express their anger in a lot of different ways. Some internalize by pouting or withdrawing. I do that sometimes. Some yell, scream, swear, or insults others, obviously. The way to respond to different anger expressions will differ. For the purposes of this post, he says, I'm writing about ways to deal with people who are verbally aggressive, insulting, or even threatening. So this is just one of the many ways that you can deal with anger. I downloaded a meme the other day, and it's just a Twitter post, and it says, I constantly use humor as a defense mechanism. So if you can't tell when I am joking, just know that I also cannot tell. So
yeah, that was something I might say.
Yeah. The number one thing you need to do, ask yourself if the anger is justified. So if somebody is really angry with you, what you want to do is, examine the situation, like in your situation yesterday.
Yeah.
That lady should have examined the situation and realized
and I should
whether or not your anger is justified.
Yeah, and I should have too, because it was on what's the word again?
Irrational.
It was irrational, the level that I went to so fast. And unfair. Though I'm not saying she wasn't being unfair. So because I feel like she was.
At the same time, she probably should have evaluated what she was going to say before she said it.
Yeah.
Sometimes anger is perfectly reasonable, and it is always emotionally wise to consider the feelings of others during an interaction. You should ask yourself, why is this person angry? What role you may have played, and if there is anything that you can or should do to resolve a situation.
And we will be right back after these messages.
Enter the talent contest at Axe Fest. $10 entry, $50 to winner. Axe Media Group.
Your sandwich was so limited.
Your sandwich had a lot of butt.
We're back.
And we're back. We are talking about anger today, continuing on from what I was reading earlier.
Where are you in the article? I've lost my
You should ask yourself why this person is angry and what the role that you may have played, and if there is anything you can do or should do to resolve the situation. It is important to note that the person can be justifiably angry, yet express that anger in an unjustifiable way.
Are you on 1, 2, 3?
I'm on 1.
1 still. Okay.
I'm at in other words.
I found you.
In other words, Anyways, in other words, if I spill a drink on someone at a party, it makes perfect sense that they should be angry with me. That response is perfectly justified. Now, what would be unjustified and unacceptable is if they express their anger by yelling at me, swearing at me, or becoming physically aggressive. I tease these two things apart because we can address our own mistake, even if someone responds in that way, in a way that is unnecessarily cruel or insulting. If I spill a drink on someone and they yell at me in response, I can still apologize and offer to buy them the drink that to make up for my error. I can tell them I don't appreciate their yelling at me, but that I'm still sorry for spilling on them. And people do get unjustifiably angry at stuff like that. A perfectly good accident. That's because let's face it, things happen, accidents happen.
And that's why I said on the titling is where does it come from?
Yeah.
Because oftentimes the person who is the recipient of the angry emotions isn't the one
That
who
caused
is the cause of
such an escalated
right.
bout of anger.
Yeah.
Like in your case yesterday, it was a buildup of all the doctor's appointments over the years, where they treat you with, how did you put it? They
skepticism, disdain, and dismissal.
Yes. And there was a straw that broke the camel's back in that situation.
It was. And I do think that there's something gone really wrong with the medical profession in that it's a great way to make a great living and become wealthy. But it's not something that in university they're taught the independence of thought, that if it's not in the textbook that they look into the person, the patient. Instead, they look into the textbook, and if they don't find it there, they say, well, there's nothing we can do for you. Instead of saying, well, it's not in the textbook, what is it? Let's look at this person.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to go to what do they call that? A research university.
Yeah.
To get something that's unheard of,
Yeah.
All doctors should be like, okay, well, how can we help this man or woman?
Yeah. Instead of referring always to the textbook, they should be contributing to it.
Right.
With what their findings in the field are, instead of dismissing the field because they don't match the textbook. I think that's kind of a lazy way of practicing medicine. And I don't blame them. I get it. People go to university to get a good profession and to advance themselves, their social status and their financial status and all the things that those things can do for a person. But when in the medical profession, I mean, yeah, do no harm, right? But there's got to be something in there also about doing some good.
Yeah.
And don't be lazy with the power that you've been provided through your
hard work and study.
And hard work and study, yeah, to help somebody. And if it's not in the textbook, you got to look at the field and say, well, and then if you have to communicate with the universities that are doing research, you can do that. But that's not how it is. And so that's not the situation and the position that I'm in. I find myself in a position where there's a bunch of textbook people who work in the field, and if it doesn't match the textbook, they dismiss it, and that's just and I think that's true in many, many cases with many, many issues. And I'm not resigned to the fact that this is purely physical, that there may be some mental or some other kind of thing going on, and I'm not, I'd like to learn what that is and get rid of it for sure. But how? Let's get started.
Right. Dennis says, stop drinking so much and you won't spill as many drinks.
Yeah.
Jackie says, good
True.
morning. Jackie Melton says, my dad used to say accidents don't just happen when I was a kid, and I never knew how to answer that. Ha. And I said, good morning, Jackie. Good morning, Larry. Good morning, Dennis. And then Larry says, how many times do you forgive someone? 70 times 70.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then Larry has said at one point, I don't get mad, I get even. And Jackie replies to Larry, yeah, right. With a big laughy face. Maybe 71 times if he's a good friend. That's what Larry says.
Yeah. Right. Well said.
I think I need to have a doctor on to get their point of view. That's what Dennis says. Moving on to number 2, stay calm, at least on the outside. One of the most important things that we can do when someone is angry at us is to stay calm. By that, I mean to avoid yelling, swearing, or raising your voice. We may not feel calm in the situation, but we can still act calmly. By speaking slowly and directly and keeping your voice calm and soft, we are less likely to exacerbate the situation. People tend to match each other's volumes and pace and general tone. So instead of meeting the angry person where he or she is at and escalating the situation, try to de-escalate the situation by subtly encouraging them to lower their voice. Mm-hmm. It makes sense. Yeah. Because I've been in one of those yelling matches, and when someone is irrationally angry and you match their tone, it's just going to get louder and louder, and it's not going to do any good except for make the situation worse.
It does.
So if someone's yelling in your face and you stay calm and just say,
which segues well into the scripture for the day. Sorry, you said
no.
You just say what?
I lost it.
Well, you were talking about how if somebody reacts,
just stay calm and just whenever you're talking, if they're yelling in your face, whatever you say, just say it, softly and calmly. And go the total opposite with them. And someone's not going to escalate their voice more and more unless they're kind of crazy. Yeah. If you're talking, if they start yelling at you and you don't raise your voice and you keep it like at a certain level, they're not going to go much higher than that.
Yeah.
And I've been in those yelling matches before where it's just, and
yeah.
It's
not helpful
at all. It's not helpful at all. And we all interrupt each other even when we're not angry here. We all get so excited about stuff and want to get our point across before we forget.
Yeah.
So, and I'm guilty of it just as much as you are. Poor Steve, he doesn't even have a chance. Whenever we're talking about something we're really passionate about, he tries to get in there and then he just gets shot down by you or me.
Yeah.
We love you, Steve.
You're not as bad about it as I am. You're more patient in conversation and not as set on your own opinion.
Yeah.
I was reading something about that, about being holding your own wisdom more highly than others.
Yeah.
And it's not appropriate to do that. It's actually, I believe it's sinful.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word.
Dennis says, I need to have a doctor on to point of view. And Larry says, does your doctor wear glasses?
I'm in physical therapy, so I don't think any of them are doctors, though they may be doctors of physical therapy.
I think he was trying to be funny with Dennis. Get to see their point of view. He says, do they wear glasses?
Right. Maybe I need to get their glasses, their prescription.
Just wear a face mask that says, I'm calm. It's a great idea. That is a great idea, Dennis.
Yeah.
Just wear a face mask. Don't say anything. And just I want to get one of those marquee ones that you can type in what you want it to say like, and or it's got the mouth that opens when you talk.
Yeah.
In the LEDs.
So with that, we'll be right back after these messages.
Guess who cleans for less? Who? Me? No. Him.
How do we get back into the workforce?
I got you.
Who was that woman?
And we're back talking about
Hey.
anger today. It's going to be a lot of fun. Me personally, I deal with angry people a lot.
Yeah, and
I've always been good at customer service. That's why, when I was working at a particular call center, I was on the inbound customer service for a big time bank credit card service. And I was always like, all right, so, you got somebody that's angry when they call. And they talk to somebody else, and that person transfers them to somebody else because they don't want to deal with it. They're like, "Oh,
de-escalations
let me get you over." I wasn't in de-escalations. I never had to send anything to de-escalation. I was good enough. I could calm people,
and you are very good at it.
and like Dad would say, "It's not me, but God in me."
Yeah.
And then that person would transfer him to another person. Like I'd talk to people that had been transferred 5 times before they got to me, and I was able to do something so simple. We had a certain amount that we were allowed to what's that?
That was no. I was just
The article.
I didn't. I was trying not to interrupt you because I wanted you to say what you had to say. I was
You want to read
in
a scripture of the day?
but I also thought that it was relevant to the last segment,
which would be. You want to go ahead and read that?
It's Proverbs 15:1. It says, "A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger."
It's good stuff.
So that's
it does. Harsh word does stir up anger. So you're not doing anybody any good by yelling and cussing and swearing and spitting. And first of all, don't spit at somebody intentionally because that's one of the more rude things you do.
So we do have to understand, though, that sometimes people are overwhelmed with their own personal experience, that they have no other way to express it. That those emotions of anger or frustration come with that.
Yeah. And it's like holding back a dam, like damming up a giant river. Yeah. And you open up one little thing and it tries to all come forth at once.
Yeah, you get a lot of pressure.
That's where
it comes out with pressure.
That's where the volume comes from.
Yeah.
So
really,
in your case, you've been dealing with this for so long. I understand. I get it.
Yeah.
That would frustrate me too. Like when you're trying to get things taken care of and you just keep getting the same meh.
Yeah, and I think they assume that I'm just a liar and a cheat trying to get something for free and all that, and the truth is that I am an ambitious person, driven, self-driven and self-motivated, though partnerships are good and valuable and important to me. We've worked together here on this, without the master's whip, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We are our own masters here, in that we've driven ourselves to this. And in many other of my endeavors, managing my physical condition with staying active and staying vital and having hope.
Exactly. So let's see. I got to catch up on our comments here. I'm usually the exacerbator. That's what Jackie says. Larry says, "Hi, Jill. How is everything?" So he's probably see somebody watching that we haven't seen yet. But Jill, if you're watching, great. It's probably Jill Wolf, hopefully. Jackie Milton does a winky face. Jackie says, "Sorry. So much of this is striking me as funny this morning." It's okay. It is okay to laugh at this stuff. Good morning, Laura Alford. Dennis Everson says, "I need to learn how to be calm and I'm always too excited." I actually have never seen him get angry with anybody.
Me either. He seems calm to me.
Yeah. Like he's got that, I'm chill.
Yeah, sometimes what people are feeling on the inside doesn't really match what's on the outside.
Yeah. Cheryl Summit, good morning. Larry Melton says, "Jackie said shut up, and I thought she said get up." Dennis says, "Spitting is assault and with With COVID, it's assault. I love how it's assault with a deadly weapon. But it's not spelled like as in assault. It's just a space salt. And then Jackie says, "Excuse me, I did not say shut up or get up. Larry's trying to start something this morning." Larry says, "Don't spit in the wind." I love how our
That's
comments
a
and
good,
stuff.
a good song too.
Yeah. Is that a song? Don't spit in the
Don't
wind?
spit. Okay, so you don't take the mask off an old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Jim. Yeah.
Ah.
You don't
That's an
spit.
old-
You don't tug on Superman's cape. You don't spit into the wind. You don't take the mask off an old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Jim.
We need to
Yeah.
get that as a sound clip. And
Yeah,
play
it's a pretty good song. I love that song. Grew up with it.
it.
Jim Croce.
Number 3, avoid character insults.
Yeah.
A guaranteed way to escalate an anger situation is to attack the other person's character. Insulting them or even saying things like, "You always do this," is likely to make things worse. Instead, focus on specific behaviors or feelings in the moment instead of saying, "You always yell at me when you're angry." You always yell at me when you're angry. Say, "Please don't yell at me." Instead of saying, "You're so impatient," say, "Can you please be patient with me?" Now, that's try to avoid character insults. You're like, and I guess that I wouldn't consider that an insult, but I definitely would not use that. I can't say I wouldn't use that because I use that. I've used it many times.
What?
"Oh, you always do this," or "You always do that." I don't do it whenever I'm arguing with you or anything, and I haven't. We've done this for 5 years. Actually, coming up in July will be 6 years we've been doing this, and we've had our arguments.
We have.
Some of them have been on the air. Some
of
have
them.
been off the air. The ones on the air at least get more views than the ones that aren't. But, and it's one of those things like you got to figure out what's important. Like, the sugar incident of 2015, was it?
Yeah. A lot of the roommate incidents and issues that come up is just realizing what's more important.
Yeah. Larry Mountain says, "I'm a patient." Jackie said, "I've tried some of that stuff." And she's got another little laughy face. So she's like, "I deal with stuff with laughter too, Jackie. Just saying." So anyways, real quick, let me finish up number 3. Avoid character insults. So those things may seem like subtle differences, but you don't want a person to feel attacked, as it will make them even more likely to lash out. It is quite possible, maybe even likely, that the person really is too impatient. And if this is someone that you are in a relationship with, you probably want to talk with them about that impatience at some point. However, the middle of an angry exchange isn't the best time for that conversation. Number 4, know when to disengage. And we've got 1 minute until our commercial break.
Yep.
So I'll read this, see if I can read it in a minute. In any exchange with an overly angry person, there may come a point whenever you need to disengage from the situation. There are lots of reasons why this might be the smart thing to do. To stay safe, for one, but also, and more commonly, because the situation is such that there is unlikely to be any positive resolution. The person may be angry that a healthy, reasonable conversation simply can't be had at the time. If that's what is going on, then the best thing for you to do might be to say, "Let's talk about this later when we're calm," and move on. Or if it's a stranger you'll never see again, simply say, "I'm sorry for my part in this," and walk away.
Yeah.
We will be, hang on a second, we got 15 seconds. Boy, I read that fast.
And it is important to understand that there are parts in something when it comes to,
Yeah. You
but
always say,
you want people to realize that for your part, which means there's something left there to pick up.
all right.
That a person can take responsibility for their own actions.
Yeah, and we'll be right back after these messages. And we're back. We're getting ready to move on to number 5, which is stay safe. Now, Cheryl says know when to walk away. That's true.
Yeah.
A lot of us don't want to walk away if we don't get the result that we desire. Because ultimately, what if you have time in an argument to ask yourself this question? What do I want to achieve? And this is not in the article. What do I want to achieve in this conversation?
Yeah.
What is my desired outcome for this? If you stop and think about that, that will reel you in and not make you so exacerbated. I'm going to be using that word all day today now, just because I think it's cool.
It's a fun word.
It is a fun word.
Yeah.
Because if you have no idea your desired outcome of situation or argument, there's no hope of resolving any situation, because it's not going to resolve itself whenever people are just throwing anger everywhere.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean, if there's something that ties you together, there's more at stake. If it's somebody you're going to see again, somebody you have some reason to interact with, either through your job or through for personal reasons, you get more opportunities to really make a difference. And it's wise to stay calm in those situations. Like I was a cashier, so I met a lot of angry people, and I tried to follow what the things that I've learned through the Word of God.
Yeah.
To deal with those things, and I found them to be effective and true. Soft answer does turn away wrath, and to treat people with love and kindness.
Yeah.
And to understand that it's not you usually. The anger that's coming from this person is not really something that you are responsible for, though you may have triggered it and be the recipient of that emotional outburst. You're not really the reason for it. And to keep that in mind is important. Now, if you are the reason for it, oftentimes you don't care enough to even know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that there are some, evil people out there who like to hurt people and enjoy it. So and that's not somebody that your outburst is really going to make any difference to.
Right. I think it's when someone is arguing, 9 times out of 10, we are thinking to ourselves, okay, why? If you ask yourself why I'm so angry about this, or why is this escalating, that's because, let's face it, each person wants to be the victor. They want to be the right one.
Yeah.
They want to be in the right. So in doing so, you put yourself in the wrong the more you escalate a situation.
Yeah.
And there's way more chance, because you don't really think at all. You don't really think. I know, not you personally, I'm saying just in general.
No, I do. I constantly have to work on not interrupting and listening better.
Then you've done really good today.
My mind rattles on and goes and goes and goes, and that's all I can hear is what my thoughts are.
And
it's difficult.
You are doing very well. I've seen you fight it a couple times today.
Yeah. Well, it's a regular thing, because that's kind of in my nature.
Yeah.
To work that way.
But you react physically whenever you're focusing on not interrupting. Like, you bring your hands in, like you're like,
really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Like you're physically pulling yourself back.
Yeah.
From interrupting. And I'm horrible about it. I'm horrible about interrupting.
Well, I also realized that I realized through the comments that our audience right now isn't really very serious. So I don't want to interject too much of a serious, dialogue, because then it will not really suit.
That's right, Jackie.
That won't suit our audience.
Morning, Becky. Good morning, Matt and Jay. She says, good morning, Poozer. Jackie Melton says, all the best people watch Matt and Jay, right? With a
I
heart.
think so.
Larry says, don't do that. Oh, because he said when he gets angry, he gets a stutter. That's probably God pulling your communication back, forcing it back. So it slows down the situation. It slows down the speech.
It might be also part of a way of interjection. You're trying to interject because you're angry, and that's important. And but you haven't really worked out the communication,
Yeah.
I sometimes stutter as well.
Yeah, I think we all do. I mean, just when you're angry, your brain is in overdrive and it takes over.
And it's resetting back to the trigger instead of the issue.
Yeah. So then that's whenever all you want. 9 times out of 10, when people are raising their voice and yelling at each other and cussing at each other and insulting each other, they're not conscious of the goal.
Yeah.
Of what they want out of the situation.
Right.
Because it's basically our instinct. Like we revert to our just automated defense. I want to be right and I want you to be wrong.
Yeah.
But if you stop and think, okay, how do I want this to end? And that will immediately.
And what's the objective?
And that will immediately de-escalate it in your own mind. So, real quick, somebody said, Dennis said, would you rather be right or have a good relationship with others?
Yeah, and sometimes that really is the choice. You have to weigh out what's more important.
Cheryl says, have a good relationship with others. Larry says, I try to talk too fast and I can't get in gear.
Yeah.
Real quick before I want to, the final point being made on this article today. He says, finally, but fundamentally, whenever you're dealing with an angry person, you've got to make sure that you're safe. People can be angry without being physically aggressive. Of course, an angry person is not necessarily a violent person. Far from it. However, we do need to be aware of the fact that the people are angry. They can feel the urge to lash out and sometimes physically. If you don't feel safe, get away from that person, period. If you absolutely must interact with someone that who you feel threatened by, make sure that you aren't alone with the individual and enter the situation with a plan to get yourself out safely should it come to that. Steve Schultz, welcome to the party. It's good to see you.
Yep. And
for those of you who don't know, Ryan Martin is an anger researcher and a professor of psychology at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. That's who wrote that article that we just read. So today it's all about anger and how to deal with it.
Yeah, how to deal with angry people. Not necessarily your own anger. That's a whole separate issue, really.
Yeah. So Dennis says, always put your brain in gear before you put your mouth and motion. So I think what he's saying is think before you speak.
Yeah.
And it says that, be slow to anger.
Yeah.
Was it be quick to forgive and slow to anger or something to that? I can't remember. My brain just kind of left me on that one. Good idea, Dennis. That's what Larry says in that regards. And, we need to have, on a side note, we need to have a anniversary show and have Steve Schultz come on with us. What do you think, Steve?
I would like that.
So it's about time for us to get out of here.
And the scripture you were talking about is, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath.
There it is right there. That's all the answer that you need, really. It's just putting it into practice is a little bit more difficult. Sometimes easier said than done. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on the Morning Drive today. We'll be back on tomorrow. Same time, same channel. So be sure and tune in next. Coming up next, Penny for Your Thoughts with Susan Abar, followed by some really well-produced videos from Dana and Wisdom for Today. And that's going to be a study. No, she usually brings them when she gets here.
Awesome.
If not, I guess we're going to be playing some other ones.
She's been overwhelmed lately is what we hear. So
well, we're praying for her.
We'll play something else or something new.
Becky says that she is an angry person, but when it starts to get bad, she walks away and hangs up the phone. And Steve said maybe. So until next time, my friends. Oh, sorry. Did you get your point out there?
Yep.
All right. Until next time, my friends. God bless you and keep you. We love you. My name is Matt.
My name is Jay.
This has been The Morning Drive.